Hello ladies and gentlemen, today it's my greatest pleasure to take you through the best free-to-play quest in RuneScape. The Knight's Sword is the story of a squire who loses the sword of his master, but the real star of the show is Thurgo. Let's get into it. Medio had found his way to Falador's castle courtyard. This castle is the home of the Order of the White Knights, the de facto rulers of Falador. The monarch of the Asgarnia region is called King Valens, but he's old as and he doesn't appear in the game, so ruling falls to the White Knight Order. White Knights are allowed to have a squire, and we can meet such an individual in the courtyard. When asked who he serves, he states that he's loyal to Sir Vyvin. I guess we all are in a way. And this squire is in a predicament, as he lost the precious sword of Sir Vyvin. This particular sword is a family heirloom that has been in the family for 5 generations. Originally crafted by the Imcando Dwarves, who are just as good at smithing as they are at going extinct. If there's one person who ought to know more, it would be Raldo the Librarian, who can be found in Varrock. Medio, who was still absolutely buzzing from finding a beekeeper's hat, promises to help the squire get a replacement sword, not heeding the warnings that the recommended combat level for this quest is 20. So Medio makes his way to Varrock and speaks to Raldo, who shares the fate of the Imcando Dwarves. Yeah, the barbarians came and them up. But all hope is not lost, as Raldo states that a few survivors escaped to the south of Asgarnia, and when not dealing with the consequences of a genocide, they've been known to enjoy a good Redberry pie. Medio, who was still awaiting his passport, was not allowed to make moves on the stock market, and thus had to arrange a Redberry pie by himself. He made his way to Lumbridge to ask for cooking advice from the best and only cook he knew. It was here that he learned that the cooking range in Lumbridge Castle was supposedly powered by magic to make food burn less. He chose not to believe it. After getting some locally sourced premium beef, Medio reached level 10 in cooking, which allowed him to try his hand at Redberry pie. He failed immediately. Burning your first Redberry pie is a rite of passage for every new account though, so don't even think I didn't bring extra ingredients. With a fresh Redberry pie in hand, Medio traveled to the south of Asgarnia, where he met Thurgo, one of the last surviving members of the Imcando Dwarves, and a master blacksmith to boot. Medio loved his cape and asked him how he got it. So Thurgo is like,
Yes, I am a master blacksmith, of course. I got that from my dwarven ancestors, the great Imcando Dwarves.
oh, so you're an Imcando Dwarf.
Man, f*** you, I don't want to talk about that.
But after giving him a Redberry pie, he'll do whatever we ask of him. If we want him to smith a replica of the Knight's Sword, however, he'll need a visual representation. So Medio travels back to Falador to steal a picture of Sir Vyvin's sword, but it's of the utmost importance that he doesn't suspect anything. I'd say we absolutely nailed it. When Thurgo sees the picture, he tells Medio that he'll need 2 iron bars and blue-eyed ore. The iron bar was a pickle. The stock market was still not in Medio's reach, and making it himself was so far beyond his skill level, it was out of the question. The only thing left for him to do was to travel to Deep Wilderness, arguably the most dangerous place in the free-to-play world, where physical safety was as fleeting as the laws that protected mankind. Medio had heard about this place before. Promises of riches lured desperate people in, only to be never heard from again. He'd never guessed that he would be one of them. Medio pushed through the smell of death and the darkness of the leafless trees to find an iron bar that sporadically popped into existence. He was then mauled by a bear. Now for the blue-eyed ore. Just beyond the tropical scenery of Thurgo's hut lies an icy dungeon for some reason. Deep within the cold confines of this cave, blue-eyed ore can be mined by those brave enough to run past frozen warriors. This place was dangerous, and Medio regretted not heeding the mysterious warning of getting level 20 combat prior to this adventure. He then found that the icy creatures were bound by a code of honor to not attack anyone standing on this square. So it was all good. When returning the materials to Thurgo, he'll craft a blue-eyed sword, which is convincing enough for Sir Vyvin to not notice anything. I guess the moral of this story is to never own up to any mistake you make, as long as you can weasel your way out of it. Even though Thurgo did all the hard work, Medio was awarded with a metric fuck-ton of smithing experience. Not only that, Medio brought enough materials for a second blue-eyed sword, which was a lot better than his current training weapon. I guess you could say that this sword changes everything. And that's gonna do it for the Knight's Sword. We've uncovered the existence of a dwarven race long thought extinct. But maybe more importantly, Thurgo dethrones Hetty the Witch for thickest NPC we've met thus far.